Welcome, Donzel Leggett, to the Empathy Edge podcast. We've been just talking pre-recording about your amazing career, talking about winning coaches, talking about leadership philosophy. This is going to be a great conversation for people to dive into, especially around the topic of how to lead teams through times of change and times of disruption, which is what we're in right now. So welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Maria. It's awesome to be here. I love this podcast. I've listened to a couple of episodes, and I just love your energy and the way that you bring such meaningful content to people that need it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That means a lot. You know, we're going to be talking a little bit about your book, Make Your Destiny Happen, which came out last August. Very exciting. But before we dive into all the tips, I love it. I love it. Showing the book. Before we dive into the tips and the wisdom you have to share with us today, tell us your
Yes.
story. How did you get here? How did you get into this whole leadership development world?
Yeah, well, let me start off by telling you where I'm from. I'm from Key West, Florida, originally, and most people, when I tell them that, they're like, "We didn't know people were actually from there." Yeah, there are people who are from there.
Yeah.
We're called Conks, so I am a native Conk. My family actually immigrated from the Bahamas in the mid 1800s, so we've been there
Mm,
a long time.
yeah.
And growing up there, it's a very unique environment, very unique. Not just the weather is so different from most of the rest of the country, but the culture there is very, very
Mm-hmm.
different. A lot of different people. So I grew up around a lot of diversity, like real diversity, seeing people from all over the world, all over the
Mm-hmm.
country, different lifestyles. And that helped shape me. My family was a big role in my life. I'm someone who never went to a babysitter. My family was always around. My great grandmother basically babysat me since I was born.
Mm-hmm.
And she was in her 80s at the time and took care of me. And if she wasn't available, my cousins would, or I had always family around, but I had a lot of people instilling in me, especially my great grandmother, that look, we believe in you and no one's better than you. You have a lot of talent and you can do whatever you want,
Mm-hmm.
but you're not better than anyone else unless
Mm,
you work hard and treat people the right way. So I
right.
heard that a lot and saw that. And so from there, I ended up leaving Key West and going to Purdue University, where I played college football in the late 80s. Loved my time there. We did not win a lot of games. And why it's relevant to me to tell that story, you not only gain a lot of knowledge when you play team sports around how to work together, but the experience I had was that it was a missed opportunity for me, that I didn't really do what I could have done. I didn't really realize it till a couple of years later. And what I realized is that I had a chance to lead, and I didn't take that chance. A lot of my teammates told me later that they looked up to me because I was a good student. I was an academic All America. I was academic All Big Ten, and I was a good player. So they would have listened to me. They would have, if I told them some, gave them advice
Yeah.
or took the leadership role. But I didn't do that. I thought my role was simply to do my job, be the best I could be, and lead, by example, right? So, hey, if I'm a good student athlete, I should lead by example. What I could have done though is when we were losing, I could have got my teammates together and said, "Hey guys, instead of Friday and Saturday nights going to parties, how about if we go to the football complex and watch film?" Now, maybe I couldn't have gotten to do it both of those nights, but maybe
Right.
one. So there was a lot of instances like that where I could have taken a role to change the culture, and
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so once I graduated and left and started working and I started reflecting back on that, I said, I'm never going to let that happen again. I have a gift, and that gift is I can touch people because I care about people. I really do. It was part, again, growing up in my family, seeing my grandmother, my great grandmother, my mother always outreaching, bringing people in. I felt like that my style was all about being accessible to people and giving love freely to people.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I hold people accountable, but I start off by respect. So when you talk about empathy, to me, empathy is all about, are you there? Are you present? And do you go to the people who need the most help versus waiting for them to come to you?
Mm-hmm.
And when you do that, are you presenting yourself in a way in which they feel welcome and open and can trust you because
Mm-hmm.
you give them trust freely?
Mm-hmm.
And I started doing that in my work career. And almost immediately, the impact that I saw in people's lives was pretty stark. And it
Mm-hmm.
just kept feeding itself for me to do that more and more and more. So my whole career has been going into situations in which people had not great leaders before, or the culture wasn't that great, results weren't that great, immediately turning it around, getting people to believe in themselves And then if they believe in themselves, be willing to then help the organization get better. You have to start with yourself first,
Mm-hmm.
always.
Mm-hmm.
Empathy for yourself, belief in
Yes.
yourself. Then you can help turn things around and give more to the organization if there's something in it for you. In every one of my stops, I started off in Iowa. I'd only been there like twice. It was only to play a football game before I moved there and started working. In the book, I talk about I was actually an engineer. I got promoted to be the manager after 1 year being there because the union employees felt like I was the only person that ever listened to them. They went to the union president, told him to go to the plant manager and say, make this guy a manager. He's the only person we've ever had here who listens. They actually got me promoted. I didn't even want to be a manager. I want to be an engineer. So I
Mm-hmm.
talk about that job. And ever since that promotion, every place I've been, I've worked across the United States, I've worked across North America, and I've led globally in organizations. And everywhere I've gone, my style of caring for people,
Mm-hmm.
being accessible to people, showing them that I love and care about them has not only allowed us to change the culture,
Mm-hmm.
generate tremendous results, but navigate tremendous complexity, chaos that we felt in the world, and
Yeah.
allow people to feel good and feel better about not only what they're doing at work, but about their
Right.
own personal situation. So I had a life plan
Mm-hmm.
that I developed in my 20s. And part of that life plan was I wanted at some point, if I continue to demonstrate this kind of differential leadership, write a book about my experiences, about the model I use. I developed this leadership model. So I had this plan to write this book basically for the
Mm-hmm.
last 30 years. And I've
Mm-hmm.
been taking notes and making thoughts. And my thought was once I finished with my corporate career, I'd write the book and I would launch a company to start helping people be the best leaders of their lives that they could
Mm-hmm.
be. That's the story.
Wow. I mean, so much in there, so much good stuff. And we're going to get to the sports relevance here in a second
Sure.
because we're going to talk about this. You went to Purdue, I went to Indiana University. And as of this
Mhm.
recording in early January, IU's football team is doing phenomenally well. And so we're going to talk about some leadership lessons from that. But you said a few things in here. You talked about really working to turn around
Yeah.
cultures and turn around teams that, for whatever reason, were in maybe negative environments. They're in a negative place. Their results are bad. And oftentimes it's harder to turn things around than it is to start from scratch.
Yeah.
And so let's talk a little bit about capacity for leaders in uncertain times when they might be
Mhm.
called in to be in a turnaround situation, or not
Yeah.
even a turnaround situation, but to your point, a chaotic situation.
Yeah.
What do they need to know? What should they practice to stay grounded and stay focused and bring their teams along with them? What are some of the key elements there that you find with your own experiences and with your clients?
Mhm. Yeah, first off, this is me just telling you my story and how I see it and what's in the book. That develop a leadership model that I talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it always starts with you got to be the best leader for you. And you have to really understand who you are as a leader.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got to be willing to bring your authentic leadership to the table. Now that's just my opinion on
Mm-hmm.
how I brought things forward. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted people to feel my authenticity as soon as they met me. To do that, that meant I had to confront myself
Right.
and learn to be authentic myself and learn and deal with the things that maybe aren't so great about me
Yeah.
and the things that maybe are good about me, but they may be okay, is that really true or is it not?
Right.
I had to deal with the mistakes that I've made and
Mm-hmm.
go back and really say, I'm comfortable with that.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in that. I know who I am. And you know what? I like who I am.
Right.
And
And
I'm
admit
willing
and
to
admit
allow that to
you're
show.
imperfect. Like that's, the
Absolutely.
first two pillars of my 5-pillar strategy for being an effective and an empathetic leader is self-awareness and self-care. And it's
That's right.
being able to admit you are not perfect. It's the leaders
That's
that try
correct.
to pretend they're
Yes.
perfect that, sorry to tell you guys or gals, but people know you are imperfect the minute you try to pretend that you're perfect. They already know there must be flaws there. And more importantly, they can see that you're not willing to see those flaws and
That's right.
grow and develop. So you create a model for your team that growth and development is a bad thing. And that's
Mhm.
not what you want to be doing for your team. You want them
Mhm.
to constantly be striving and growing and learning and having that growth mindset to always be better. And if you don't show that, in terms of just even trying to improve your leadership capacity, I talk about this a lot. Like if you're going
Yeah.
through leadership development, if you have a coach like yourself, tell your
Mhm.
team, don't hide it. Tell them like,
No.
hey, I'm doing this work. I encourage you to do this work too.
Absolutely. I always say authenticity helps you stand tall. But because you've done the work to truly know yourself and be authentic and believe in knowing yourself, then you can actually be assured and have self confidence. And self confidence and self assuredness helps you stand when turmoil comes, when chaos comes, when the winds blow hard in your face. It helps you stand strong and walk through it. If
Mm-hmm.
you're pretending all the time, putting on an act, when things get tough, the first thing that happens is you start losing your confidence because you never really believed in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And the number one thing a leader has to do when things get tough is people look to you for strength. They look to you for their own confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And so, so you have to be authentic and you have to be assured in yourself,
Mm-hmm.
so that when the turmoil comes, you're a pillar of strength. So go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and to that end, I don't think you have to be Pollyanna about it. I think people get that confused. Like, in order for me to show strength to my team, I have to pretend I have all the answers. And you can be confidently empathetic. You can be confidently vulnerable. And there's a difference between, wringing your hands and going, I don't know what to do, versus being a leader who says, like, we're not really sure what the next steps are, but here's what we're doing to try to figure it out. And I welcome your ideas and your input as well. Here's what we're going to do to make sure things are okay for as much as we can control. But here's all the factors we can't control. And to be able to say that with confidence.
Yes.
I think there's a lot of leaders who hear that advice and they take it as, I've got to pretend everything's going well with my team. And that's the insecurity talking.
And what they don't understand is people can tell. They can see through whether you're truly authentic or not.
Yeah.
And if you really want people to believe in what you're saying, again, that my whole thing is be yourself, be authentic, and people can tell. And if you don't know the answers, but you believe as a team we're going to work through this together, people will say, hey, we'll figure this out. We'll figure this out together. But if you just say, oh, we got all the answers, they'll understand we're in trouble. Because this has no idea and it won't admit it. And back to your point around, knowing yourself and having the confidence to be vulnerable with your team. I've got several examples in the book. I talk about that. But when I first started as manager, I was very young. And most of the people around me were 10, 20, even 30 years older than me.
Yeah.
And they knew a lot more than I did. So every week I would ask them, hey, what can I do better? What are just two things that, I haven't done yet that I should be doing?
Right.
What are a couple of things that you like that I'm doing that you'd like to see me keep doing?
Right.
And I would relentlessly just continue to ask for that feedback and listen, take the feedback and make adjustments.
Yeah.
And there were some people at first that were not sure, can I really tell this guy? But there's certain things he's not doing well.
Right.
But because I was continuously asking for that feedback and building the relationship with them and showing them that I was authentically honest and humble, I started getting feedback from everyone. And here's the thing that, again, leaders who just don't feel like they are at the point where they can do something like this, they don't understand that doesn't only give them a chance to give you feedback and show that you're humble. What it actually does is it builds their confidence in you and it builds their commitment to you and the organization as a leader. And that's what I saw. In the organization I took over immediately, we started seeing results very, very quickly. Results turn around almost immediately. I didn't even develop a plan yet to get things turned around.
Yeah.
The reason why it turned around was because I was involving the people, asking their opinion, and showing them that I cared.
Right.
And because of that, they decided to step up because they did not want me to fail.
Right.
Just my action of continuing to go to them for feedback, asking how could I get better, made their commitment increase like triple.
Right. Well, they know they're in good hands at that point. They know you're a realist, and you're also you're not going to sugarcoat things. You're not going to pretend there's not a problem when there's a problem. And when you ask for feedback, being able to take action on that feedback and take it in. And that's why, kind of getting back to your first point again, why self-awareness and self-care is so important is because you need to be in a place where you can take that feedback in without defensiveness or fear. If you're running at low capacity, just like physically, if you're tired or you're hungry, everything's going to be seen as a threat. So make sure you're shoring up your confidence, your self-assuredness. Make sure you're taking care of yourself physically, emotionally, mentally, so that when you can get that feedback, you can take it from a place of positivity. You can take it from a place of, this person's trying to help us as a team get better by giving me this feedback. They're not trying to attack me. They're not trying to show me up. It's just what's best for the team. And I think this is a great point to segue to what we were talking about before we started recording, which is the phenomenon. And again, as of this recording, we don't know how things are going to end up. So it's a little bit of a mystery, but with the Indiana University football team, because having gone there, that is not a school that is known for its football program, right? And there's a coach that came in and turned things around to where they are now vying for the national championship. And can you talk a little bit about that and the lessons you take away from coach's style, from what he's done with that team, from what you've seen from the outside? I know you're not privy to what's going on in the inside, but you've been in that world of college sports. And so talk a little bit about the phenomenon that you're seeing and what leaders can learn from that.
Yeah.
And let's explain it for folks that are not familiar. So if you'd explain the situation a little bit for folks.
Again, I told you earlier, I think it's the greatest coaching turnaround that I've seen in my lifetime. And I know that's a powerful statement. And to say that as a Purdue grad,
it's for folks that don't know, IU and Purdue are big rivals. So yeah, for him to say that is amazing.
Bitter rivals. So for me to say that is hard, but it's true. And if you just take a step back and really look at it objectively, it's undeniable. Indiana is the second losingest football program in Division I history. Only Northwestern has lost more games over the course of the history of their program. Indiana is the second losingest program. So let's start with that and put that in perspective. All right.
Stings a little, I got to admit.
But it's the absolute truth. And so you have to start with that. So this is a program that has never been anywhere near close to competitive. They've had some good years here or there. But in terms of overall, they've got more losses than every other school except one in the history of Division I football. All right. In the 3 years prior to Curt Cignetti coming in as the head coach, I think they won a total of 10 games, an average of 3 games per year. They lost, I think, like 60 or something like that. Something along those lines, right?
Yeah.
Maybe not that many, but they were like something like 10 and 40 or something along those lines, or 10 and 50, something like that. So not a great, long-term history and short-term history. All right. The guy comes in, and in 1 year, with the same players, this is important in the era we're in right now, where you're paying players with NIL, and the transfer portal allows players to move. So a lot of coaches come in and they rattle the cages for more money to pay more players, and they get a lot of transfers to come in. Purdue's a good example.
Right.
Their coach came in this year, a new coach. He turned over 80% of the roster.
Right.
80% new players and all of the coaches. This guy, basically the same players. There were some new transfers, like a quarterback transferred in, but last year, pretty much the same players. They went 11-1 and basically, lost in the Big Ten championship game, made the playoffs, lost. All right. This year, they're 14-0 as time of this recording. And get this, in the Big Ten championship game, they beat Ohio State. Ohio State is, I think, the third winningest program in the history of college football. And last year's defending national champion. They then, in their first playoff game, beat Alabama. Blew them out like 37-3.
Oh, yeah.
Alabama has won more national championships than any other school, certainly in the last 10 or 20 years. And they also in the top 10 of winningest programs in the history of college football. So to put in perspective, this guy comes in 2 years, takes the same players, goes from a team that's historically one of the worst in history, makes them the best, and to do it so far has beaten. Now, we don't know what's going to happen in the championship run.
Not yet.
But they beat Ohio State, beat Alabama, two of the teams in the top 10 in all-time wins and national championships. All right? Their roster, Indiana's roster, they do rankings on talent. Their talent is like 76th, anywhere between 76th out of the 130 programs. So mid-tier compared to Ohio State and Alabama. They get the top 5 recruits every year, and their rosters are always in the top 10. I think Ohio State's roster was rated number 1 this year. So let me again, perspective.
Yeah.
To put that in perspective as to why I say it's the greatest coaching turnaround I've ever
In
seen.
history. Yeah.
Now, here's the thing that I think everybody has to understand. I'm not at his practices. I don't know a lot about this guy. All I know is this. When he got hired, he said, I'm here to challenge for national championships. He didn't just say, we're going to be better. We're going to win some games. He said, we're challenging for national championships. We're going to win the Big Ten championship.
Yeah. He put the moonshot. He put the moonshot goal out there. Like
he changed his players' mindset and inspired them that they could achieve something that not only they didn't think they could do, nobody thought they could do, but he believed in them. Now, again, he's got a good scheme. He brought good assistants, but it all starts with, can you convince players and people in general that they are great and that they can be the best that there is? And if you read my book, I've got several examples where I did something very similar. But to me, this story of Indiana and what Curt Cignetti has done, it's unbelievable. And I don't think the guys get enough credit for it.
Well, I mean, I think he's getting a lot of credit. And I also think that there's a couple points here that are really important to take away for those of us not in sports, right? Number one is it's not always the team. He inherited this team. To your point, he didn't completely change over the roster. So how do you explain the ability to take a group of, let's just say underperforming team members and make them one of the greatest teams of the season, right?
And I'll correct you. I wouldn't say they were underperforming. I say he took a team that was performing at a level in which their stars, the recruitment stars, said they were. They're mid-tier talent. What he got them to do is step up and level up to a performance level that they did not believe they could achieve.
Interesting.
That's what that to me is a big difference. It's not that they were underperforming. They said they're performing at what people expected them to. He took them to a level that no one, including themselves, expected they could perform at.
Right. And so I'd love to just ask the question on that. So someone listening is a VP or C-suite leader, and they've got currently maybe they've stepped into a new role and the team is just a hot mess, right?
Yes.
Now, there does come a point where it's like, I've got to evaluate these people and can they step up, even if I believe in them, even if I paint a vision for them, right? So where do you help leaders find the line of like how much of it is helping them believe in themselves, but then also being able to assess if they actually are capable?
Yeah, you have to assess first.
Yeah.
I mean, so I got to get several stories in my book where I've made tremendous turnarounds.
Right.
And every time it starts off with me when I first go in, you got to get to understand the situation.
Right.
Understand the business, understand the technology, understand the capability. And then most importantly, you got to know the people. And this is usually where a lot of leaders fall off because it takes work.
Right. It takes
work,
time.
especially if you have a broad sort of geographic team, which I did spread across the world. I had to go. I had to give up some personal life and go travel to these locations and not just meet with the boss or the people who are at the top. They'll tell you what you want to hear. You got to talk to the people at the bottom because they'll tell you what you need to hear. But to do that, you got to go to them and you got to be authentic and you got to show them you're willing to listen. And if you can do that, you can start pretty quickly assessing whether you have the talent or you don't. And in most cases, the majority of the people have the talent and have the capability. They just need to believe, and they need some tools and some processes to go along with that to allow them to win.
Right.
Like Curt Cignetti, he has to have a scheme. He can't just, hey, you guys.
He can't just believe everybody to a championship. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So there's some key things. So he understands you got to have a quarterback. So one of the things he did bring in a quarterback in 2024, and this year he brought in another guy, and the guy won the Heisman. Right. So you got to have. There are some players where you got to upgrade talent. But the first thing you have to do is understand what's the situation, who are we competing against, who do we have, what is our capability. Then you start figuring out, okay, what's our culture, where's our talent, what is the situation in terms of our people.
Right.
And one of the things about all leaders, but a lot of leaders I've worked with, the difference between me and them, very simple. I would ask people authentically, what are you doing today, Maria? And I'm going to wait for you to respond. Do you know, I'd say 80% of the leaders I work with would not ask that question. Do you know why? Because they're afraid of the answer.
Yeah.
They don't want to have to solve a problem. They don't want to hear any bad news. So
Right.
they don't ask that question. They just say, hey, how you doing? And keep walking.
Right.
I stop. I look you in the eye. I might put my hand on your shoulder to really calm. How are you doing?
Yeah.
What's going on? How are
Yeah.
you feeling? And I'm willing to hear, I'm not doing that well today. I'm some problems with my spouse at home. My parents are sick. I'm willing to hear,
Mm-hmm.
listen, and see what I can do to help.
Yeah.
Because I know that if I listen and help them, first of all, just by me listening,
Mm-hmm.
sends a message to them that I care.
Exactly. And I
And if
think
I
that
care in them, they're going to care for what I'm talking about. But go ahead.
I think that's the key. I wrote in the Empathy Edge about some leaders that, they take that time at the beginning of the week, at the beginning of meetings. And there's too many leaders that think it's a waste of time to check in or find out how somebody's weekend went. The leaders I interviewed for the book, and this is over and over again, the common thread of all of these effective leaders who are empathetic
Yes.
and high performing is when you take that time, it's an investment. And it makes the rest of the business part of it work better, right? So if someone's saying, I had a
Yes.
really bad weekend because I spent it potty training my 3-year-old, right?
Yes.
Now you know what that person's coming in with. So you can give them
Yes.
some grace. You can give them some, okay, they're a little short with me today, but I understand where they're coming
Mm-hmm.
from, right? They got 4 hours of sleep this whole weekend, right? Being able
Yep.
to do that and having an honest answer, it doesn't just happen overnight. I've had really
Mm-mm.
toxic bosses who, if they came in one day and just decided to, how are you today, Maria? I'd be like, okay, this is a trap. This is a trap. Like, what's going on,
Yep.
right? So you have to build up that trust over time.
You have
But
to build it.
the investment is so important. It's that all that stuff, all that nonsense, quote, I'm saying it with air quotes, right?
Yes.
Is not a waste of time because it sets the table for how you can interact with each other to the optimal degree, right?
Yes.
Versus us, everybody trying to hide it and posture and, read into things. Donzel's being really annoying today. I don't know why. If I don't
Mm-hmm.
know what's going on with you, then I
Right.
can't react and I can't interact with you in a different way. And that is more of a waste of time than doing what you're
Yes.
suggesting.
Absolutely. And I always had the mentality, especially as a vice president, and I've got an organization of 10,000 people spread out all over the world,
Mm-hmm.
that if I go to visit a location and meet with the team, this might be the only chance that they're going to have to around me and hear from me
Right.
in a year or so.
Right.
Right. And I always would think about, kind of, and Michael Jordan. Those people may know who he is. Some people may not. But, a lot of people consider him the greatest basketball player ever. But the thing that the key thing that I like about what Michael, one of the things he said, they asked him, why do you play every game as if it's your last? You play no matter who the team is, you never take rest. And he said, because I know that game, there could be a mom or a dad who brought their daughter or son to that game to watch me play,
Mm-hmm.
and they barely had enough money to buy that ticket. They may be way up in the nosebleed section, and it's the only time that they could bring their little kid to watch me play.
Right.
I have to be my best for them.
Yeah.
And that's always the way I thought about it,
Yeah.
is I always have to be my best,
Right.
because I have people who are counting on me and I need to be consistent for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
The same love and attention I showed them 2 years ago, the
Yeah.
last time I was at their location, I've got to show that same love and compassion
100%.
every time, everywhere that I go,
Yeah.
because it's their one chance maybe where they're seeing me, where I'm seeing all these people all the time. And that, again, it's a reinforcement
Yeah.
that I care
Yeah.
and I'm here for you.
Right.
And I know a lot of leaders out there is like, yeah, but I have I have bad days. I know you have a bad day.
Right.
And I get it. But if you are really authentic with yourself, and if you're
Yeah.
pursuing, like, why are you in this job? That's the other
Right.
thing I always went at. Why
Right.
are you, like, I was in this job,
Yeah.
not only because I had dreams of where I wanted my career to go, but I was in this job because I wanted to make a difference in people's lives.
Yeah.
And I felt like if someone else was in this job, would they really care
Mm-hmm.
about a guy working third shift in Poço Alegre, Brazil, and whether that guy is being safe,
Mm-hmm.
and whether that guy's getting paid an adequate wage, and whether that
Yeah.
guy, is
Yeah.
being able to take care of his family? I don't know if they would, but I'm here and I can.
Right. And that's
You know
the
what I'm
legacy
saying?
you're going to leave.
Yes.
Donzel, you're making me think of two examples here. One is, and this is kind of crazy, but I just recently started watching the Taylor Swift documentary, End of
Oh,
an
really?
Era, about her tour.
Yeah.
And that was her leadership philosophy. She said, all of these people, from the truck drivers bringing the gear
Yes.
to the dancers to the mom who spent a lot of money on this ticket. She's like, I don't have time to have the stomach flu. I don't have time to be less than perfect on that stage. It doesn't matter what I'm going through. This experience is about them.
That's right.
And that was the philosophy. And that's why she gained so much loyalty from her dancers, from her singers, from her musicians, from the backup crew. And she shared the wealth with them. She gave them bonuses beyond anything that's ever been seen from tour headliners before. She gave bonuses to the truck drivers who said, this never happens, right?
Yes.
So she set that tone, and not that she was going to say, okay, if you're ill or you have an emergency, you have to show up this way. She's like, but I'm captaining the ship.
Yes.
Like, I have to show up for people because we may have done this tour in 100 other cities, but this is the first time that person is seeing this tour, and they saved up their money to come to this event. And that's why she made it a 3.5-hour concert, which was unheard of. Right. So it just reminds me of that, of like, people don't find success accidentally. Leaders don't find success accidentally or build that kind of loyalty and that kind of precision performance, whether it's a concert or a company or a sports team. It's an intention of the leader to create an experience and create an environment for people, as you said, and they have to feel good in their own skin in order to do that. So I love that. There's so many other questions I want to ask you, and I know we're running out of time. I do want to talk a little bit, because you talk about your book, Make Your Destiny Happen. And I just briefly want to touch on this idea of designing your life and leadership versus letting it just happen to you. Because I do coaching circles and intensives and workshops with leaders where I talk to them a lot about, you get to decide what kind of leader you want to be. And just because there's leaders out there that are acting horribly to people and still succeeding, it doesn't mean that's the path you have to go. I can show you the data that show you why actually the other path is the better way and the more sustainable way. But at some point, you just have to make a decision of what kind of leader you want to be. So can you talk a little bit about helping leaders take control of their narrative and their leadership style versus going, well, this is how things have always been done, or this is what's always worked for me, or I'm looking at all the examples in the headlines and don't I have to act like that? How do you help them take ownership of their own leadership legacy?
Yeah, I mean, you just said it.
A big question in there.
I don't know if it was a question. You actually answered the question. You did a great job answering it.
How do you help
a lot
them,
of what you said is right on. It's the model that I developed is called the Destiny Development Delta model for transformational success, and that's really what the center of the book is about.
Okay,
and it starts off with the model called the A Attitudes of Leadership, which is a set of leadership values that helps people transform their leadership to be the leader of their life. And I first start off by making sure people understand that when we talk leader, many people right away go to, the head basketball coach.
Right.
The
one with the title.
Coach. Yeah. Or the vice president. No, a leader is everyone, because you're the leader of your life. Doesn't matter whether you're a podcast host who's getting tremendous success like Maria, or you're a cashier, or you're a stay-at-home mom or dad, or you're a student, or you're a professor, or if you're a carpenter, or a truck driver. You are the leader of your life. And here's the difference. There's no team working on a strategic plan for you. There's no team working on executing your business plan. It's you. You got to decide whether you're going to step up and take the agency that's been giving you and make your life happen. And so these set of leadership values provides the baseline, the foundation for doing that. Then I have an operating model. So once you got that, have transformed my leadership, then there's an operating model that I call I Lead Change that develops a roadmap for you identifying what you want your destiny to be, what you want your legacy to be, and then a process to follow to actually make it happen. So that's what's really different about my book. And so it's about transforming and then an operating model actually do it. I've been through a lot of leadership trainings, and a lot of them work on be a better leader, this or that. But number one, they're all focused on being a better leader at work, not for your whole life.
Right.
And they don't give you, okay, what do I do now to operationalize this?
Yes.
And the third thing that's different is it's basically always based on some subset of leaders who've been successful. They take what they've done and they boil it down. Here are the three things. This model that I have is very specific to each person because it actually asks you to find what do you want out of life and what makes you happy.
Mm-hmm.
Here's where people lose when they look at all these leaders who are doing bad things
Mm-hmm.
and they say, well, they're being successful. We don't know what their personal life is. We don't know how they're feeling about
Mm-hmm.
how things are going. I can tell you, I'm happy. I feel great about the path I'm on. And
Yeah.
people around me can feel that,
Yeah.
right? Because I'm doing what I want to do.
Right.
And I've got not only the success that I want, but I'm happy. What
Mm-hmm.
good is it to have a great job and be miserable?
Right.
What good is it to be a billionaire and be miserable?
Yeah.
I would rather have a life in which I'm achieving what I want
Yeah.
and I'm happy and I've got balance in my life. And our model starts off with, again, these set of leadership values
Mm-hmm.
lead you to a point where you then identify what are you looking for
Yeah.
and what truly will make you happy.
Yeah.
Then building a plan to make that happen. And that's what I encourage people. Don't look at others and try to define your life on what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You'll always be disappointed if you do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Decide what you want.
Right.
Focus on what you want. Have a plan and start working your plan. You know what? That plan can change
Yeah.
because the environment changes. It doesn't lock you into one thing that you feel like I don't want to be locked in. But it's better to have a plan in which you're calling adjustment
Yeah.
as the environment changes
Right.
than not having a plan at all and just letting life happen to you.
Right.
Take control of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Make things happen for you.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let life happen to you.
Mic drop. I love it. I could talk to you for another hour, but we're going to wrap up. I'm going to leave people with go ahead and buy the book, Make Your Destiny Happen. It's available in all the usual places. And Donzel, we're going to have all of your links in the show notes so people
Yes.
can find out more about you, get in touch, connect with you on social. But for anyone listening to us on the go, where's the one
Yes.
best place they can find out more about you and your work?
Check out my website. It's either makeyourdestinyhappen.com, the name of the book. So if you can't remember anything, makeyourdestinyhappen.com. The other thing you can do, if you really don't remember any of the show notes, I'm literally the only Donzel Leggett in the world, I think, except for my son. So if you put my name in your search, it's going to come up. You're going to find information about me. But makeyourdestinyhappen.com, they put that in. They're going to find my website and get there really quickly.
I love it. Donzel, thank you so much for your time and your insights. This was such a great conversation. I'm glad we kind of went all over the place, but really the main theme is about, putting the investment into your leadership legacy and into making those connections with people if you want to see an impact on performance. So thank you again for being part of the show.
Thank you so much, Maria. Again, what you're doing with this podcast is needed, especially right now. Thank you for what you're doing and the energy that you bring. It's so contagious. Keep doing it.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone, for listening to another episode of the Empathy Edge podcast. If you like what you heard, you know what to do. Please rate, review, and share it with a friend or a colleague. And until next time, please remember that cash flow, creativity, and compassion are not mutually exclusive. Take care and be kind.